I have a roommate who is very fond of love affairs. She often dates 5 or 6 people at the same time, sometimes even a dozen. Once she felt unwell, and I advised her to go to the hospital for a checkup. However, she was too scared and insisted that I accompany her. Unexpectedly, after the examination, she was diagnosed with 4 types of infectious diseases, each with serious issues. I was terrified. Without wasting a moment, I immediately moved out of the dormitory, urging other friends to leave as well. To my surprise, she wrote a suicide note, jumped off a building and blamed everything on me. The shock and disbelief were overwhelming. Other roommates accused me of being heartless and cold, and soon, a group of online attackers began harassing me. It was unbearable. Eventually, I fell into severe depression, my mind spiraling into darkness, and I became mentally unstable. In the end, as if fate was mocking me, I was hit by a car. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the moment when I had advised Linda to go to the hospital. Linda, she was a flirtatious girl who enjoyed seducing all kinds of men. Since high school, she had been collecting men as if they were trophies, and now, her goal was to conquer 1,000 men during her college years. She often laughed at us, calling us boring, saying that youth was meant to be filled with romance, both bitter and sweet. She frequently took birth control pills, ignoring the toll they took on her body. Gynecological diseases had already started to affect her, but still, she didn't stop. This wasn't the first time she felt unwell, but this time, even painkillers didn't help. In my previous life, I had advised her to go to the hospital for a checkup. She was scared, her pale face drenched in cold sweat, and she had begged me to go with her. Seeing her in that miserable state, I had agreed. Unexpectedly, after the examination, she was diagnosed with 4 types of infectious diseases, serious, life-altering ones. When the results came out, she refused to believe them. "This must be a mistake. It's impossible," she had exclaimed. But this was the People's Hospital, the best in the area. There was no mistake. She wanted me to accompany her to another hospital for a recheck, but this time I refused. After returning to school, I immediately packed my bags and moved out of the dormitory. I warned the other roommates to leave as soon as possible, but Linda, she hated me for it. She jumped off a building, leaving behind a 5,000-word suicide note, filled with fabricated stories, blaming me for ruining her life. I tried to prove my innocence, but shockingly, my other 2 roommates started a live stream accusing me of bullying Linda. Their fake tears and dramatic storytelling attracted thousands of viewers. They became famous overnight, turning into online influencers. Meanwhile, I was drowning in endless hate and accusations, unable to clear my name. But this time I wouldn't make the same mistake. I calmly told Linda to drink more warm water, and assured her that she would feel better soon. Then, without hesitation, I left, saying I had to meet with my academic advisor. My plan was clear. I would inform my advisor that I was moving out. I couldn't stay there another day. Now, in the final semester of my 3rd year, many classmates had already started internships. The school wasn't too strict about dormitory management, and as long as I registered with my academic advisor, I could live off campus. Without wasting time, I explained my situation in the group chat. Soon after, a message popped up. "I'm feeling so uncomfortable. Can someone take me to the hospital? The rest of you clean up the room." The sender was Lily. My heart clenched. In my previous life, she had slandered me the most. Just to gain sympathy and rewards, she twisted everything, blaming me for Linda's death. She even went as far as claiming that I was the one who had infected Linda with those diseases. I didn't respond. I pretended not to see the message. Today was Monday and there was a big exam, but more importantly, I was about to move out. Linda's health was no longer my concern. After getting permission from my academic advisor, I immediately contacted a real estate agent. I only looked at 3 places before settling on one. With the keys in hand, I rushed back to the dorm, packed my belongings, and left behind everything Linda had ever used. In the group chat, I sent a simple message. "I found an internship and might have to work overtime, so I won't be staying in the dorm anymore. Feel free to use the things I left behind." The other 3 acted reluctant, pretending to be sad about my departure, but they still congratulated me on getting an internship. I attached pictures of the items I had left behind, telling them they could use them or throw them away. They were all high-quality products, and I knew they wouldn't resist using them. And if they did, well, who knows what would happen. Finally, lying on the bed in my new rented room, my tense nerves began to relax. For the first time in a long while, I felt safe. The group chat was unusually quiet. No one had said anything. Logically, Linda's test results should have come out by now. I sent a message. "How's your health, Linda?" Still feeling uncomfortable. Wendy, another roommate, chimed in asking about Linda too. Linda was always surrounded by admirers. Snacks, gifts, high-end cosmetics. She never lacked anything. Even the clothes she barely wore would be eagerly taken by my other roommates. Because of this, their friendship seemed strong on the surface. But in reality, it was all built on selfishness. Finally, after a long silence, Lily replied, "It's nothing. Linda is in great health. We'll be back soon." I wasn't sure if Linda had lied to them or if they were just pretending. Either way, it didn't matter. I was far away from them now. It was no longer my concern. Still, for my own peace of mind, I decided to go to the hospital for a checkup the next day. In my previous life, my test results had come back normal. But people didn't believe me. They had already decided I was guilty. And no matter how much I explained, some netizens continued to spread lies about me. A while later, Linda sent another message in the group chat. "Let's have dinner together." My treat. I refused. I wanted nothing to do with her anymore. At most, I would stand on the sidelines and observe. And if the opportunity arose, I would add a little push. The others went to a grand feast, each meal costing thousands of dollars. They flooded the group chat with photos, showing off their lavish dinner, making our classmates envious. Linda even posted pictures of handsome men, tagging me in the group. "It's a pity you didn't come. They're all from the sports school. Perfect bodies." I smirked. I had no interest in men right now, especially not the ones Linda introduced. Who knew what they might be carrying? Being single solved everything. I simply replied, "You guys have fun." Now I could see it clearly. Linda knew she was sick. Lily wasn't sure, and Wendy was completely unaware. In one photo, Wendy was staring at a handsome guy with an infatuated look. Linda had never introduced guys to us before. She had an ulterior motive. In my previous life, Linda wanted to drag others down with her, but she failed. In the end, she took her revenge by writing a suicide note against me. But this life, I wouldn't let that happen. This time I would watch from a distance and let them destroy each other. She still didn't know about Linda's condition. I was very suspicious. In my previous life, Linda had said she was scared and begged me to help her get the test results. Logically, Lily would have seen it. If Linda had also come back to life, everything could be explained. I was about to reply when Linda called. Her voice sounded anxious, almost desperate. I thought for a moment, then answered the phone. "Yana, you lied to me. You didn't go for an internship. Come back quickly. Without you, I feel so lonely." Had she figured something out? My expression turned cold. "I'm doing fine outside. I don't want to come back. You guys have fun." Whether Linda was lonely or not had nothing to do with me. This was just an excuse. And if she knew, so what? Linda's voice, full of grievance, came through. "Yana, do you hate me so much that you moved out?" The corner of my mouth curled up into a cruel smile. Did she want me to come back that badly? Did she have to drag me down with her? "Linda, whether I come back or not has nothing to do with you. Do you live by the sea? Why do you care so much?" Originally, my relationship with her was just ordinary. I rarely touched the food and drinks she brought back. Moreover, I often bought food to share with everyone in the dorm. I didn't owe her anything. Linda suddenly changed her tone. "Yana, if you have any ideas, I'll report you to the academic advisor. You have to come back." A glint of murderous intent flashed in my eyes. "Linda, are you sick?" Hearing this, the other end of the line fell silent for a moment. Then suddenly she screamed hysterically. "Yana, you're the one who's sick. Your whole family is sick. Do you believe me? I'll kill you." Very good. It seemed that in this life, she still hadn't escaped those ridiculous diseases. I calmly said, "Why are you so agitated? Did you really discover some serious illness yesterday?" Linda muttered a few curses and then hung up. I happily went to eat hot pot to celebrate. If Linda was unhappy, then I was very happy. But the joy didn't last long. Lily and the others started making insinuations about me in the group chat. Linda was crying in the dormitory, telling me to come back quickly, apologize, and admit my mistakes. I was too lazy to bother with them and left the group chat. If it weren't for the fact that there was only 1 month left until graduation and I still wanted to get my diploma, I would have moved to another city long ago. Not long after, a classmate messaged me, asking what bad thing I had done because my 3 roommates were spreading rumors about me everywhere. I sent her a big red envelope and asked her to help me record a video or audio. Then I went to the hospital for a checkup. Fortunately, there were no issues. The next day I went to school. Today was Monday, and the teacher would definitely take attendance. As long as nothing important happened, everyone would come to class. I was a bit late. Linda and the other 2 were sitting close together distributing snacks. When they saw me come in, Lily snorted coldly. Ungrateful. Shameless. Linda glared at Lily, then handed me a box, smiling sweetly. Yana, I was wrong yesterday. I shouldn't have been so harsh with you. There's only 1 year left until we graduate. I can't bear to be apart from you. So, I wanted you to come back and live with us. This is a gift for you. I hope you're not angry anymore. I didn't accept it. Who knew if there was something wrong inside? Lily looked unhappy. She coldly said, "Don't be ungrateful. Linda has already compromised. What more do you want?" The classmates who had received snacks from Linda immediately spoke up in her defense. It seemed that if I didn't accept it, I had made a big mistake. I looked up at Linda. She was heavily made up, but the dark circles under her eyes were still visible. Was it because she didn't sleep well last night? Worried about her illness? No need. You only scolded me for a dozen minutes. I'm not angry. Originally, my relationship with you guys wasn't that good. I moved out just to make everyone more comfortable. Linda's face darkened. She wanted to say something, but unfortunately the teacher arrived. She wasn't happy, but she had to return to her seat, unable to hide the hatred in her eyes. I didn't interact much with her. She had too many boyfriends, sometimes having to accompany several in one day. She didn't spend much time in the dormitory. I didn't know when I had offended her, making her so determined to drag me down with her. After class, Linda led a group of people to block my way. Each of them was holding a guy, looking at me with a triumphant expression. Wendy and Lily were holding the men who had attended the party the night before. Linda smiled brightly. Yana, come with me. I guarantee you'll eat well and dress well. You can choose any of these men. I've tried them. They're all very good. I pointed at the 2 men with Wendy and Lily. Have you tried them too? Linda looked as if it were natural, while Wendy and Lily's faces darkened. I curled my lip in disgust. You guys really have a good relationship. You can even share men. I can't do that. I'm clean. I find it dirty. Linda rolled her eyes at me. Wake up. What era are you living in? Do you still expect a man to be with only you from start to finish? I naturally didn't demand that. But the men Linda had been with were dirty in my eyes. Lily snorted coldly. You're just jealous. The men Linda chose for us are all rich, handsome, and capable. That's right. Linda is the best. Wendy shyly looked at the guy beside her and nodded. That's right, that's right. If they liked it, let them be. In my previous life, I was indeed blind to risk advising them to leave the dormitory early. They should have stayed to enjoy the fun with Linda. I was too lazy to care about them anymore and turned to leave. Linda told someone to block my way. She took out the gift box again, smiling. Today you must accept this gift. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep. You're so kind. You definitely don't want to make me sad, right? Initially, I didn't want to accept this box. I didn't need to think to know there was something wrong with it. But suddenly an idea popped into my head. I decided to accept the gift box. After I took it, Linda happily left with them saying, "There's a surprise inside. You must take a look." I immediately took out disinfectant, carefully put it in a bag, and brought it to a delivery point. I planned to send it to Linda's parents. I had helped her send a few packages before, so I had their address and phone number. I requested express delivery through FF Express. It would arrive tomorrow. The staff asked me to open it to check the contents because some items couldn't be shipped. Seeing the staff wearing gloves and spraying alcohol with good protective measures, I agreed, also wanting to know what was inside. When opened, there were 2 sets of clothes, a set of skincare products, some snacks, and most notably, a diamond necklace. It was clearly of significant value. Linda was indeed extravagant. The staff asked if I wanted to purchase insurance. I thought for a moment and decided to pay an additional $50 for insurance. Linda's parents were very frugal. If I sent it cash on delivery, they might not accept it, so I paid the shipping fee up front. I recorded the entire process without touching anything inside and sent everything to her parents. I hope Linda will like the gift I sent her. I don't owe you anything. Linda's face turned dark. She glared at me, her eyes full of hatred, as if wanting to freeze everything. I understood that this time things had really turned sour. I had to be more careful. There was only 1 week left until the exam, which made things difficult for me. Linda took out her phone, made a call, and then ran to a secluded spot. I looked at the 2 roommates standing still and smiled. Your master has run away. If you don't follow, you won't see her again. Lily sighed. Yana, you know my brother still needs $30,000 for the bride price. If I can't gather it, I'll have to marry an old man and work honestly for a monthly salary of $3,000. Even if you kill me, I can't gather $30,000. I was forced into this. What did this have to do with me? I only knew that in my previous life they had deliberately harmed me, causing me to fall into severe depression. At that time I wanted to drag them down with me, but unfortunately I was hit by a car before reaching the school. I calmly said, one party earns you $100,000. If you go 3 times, it's enough. Keep it up. It's quick. Wendy pulled Lily's hand. Don't explain to her we're young and beautiful. We'll definitely find a rich guy. When the time comes, we'll make her open her eyes. Last time, didn't you see how affectionate she was with her boyfriend? How could she so quickly want to switch to another rich guy? It could only be said that human greed is bottomless. What else could I say? I could only smile and wish them luck. The next day, all 3 of them didn't come to class. I heard they didn't return to the dormitory either. 2 days later, they came to class walking unsteadily, clearly having been through a lot. There's no such thing as easy money. If it weren't for the teacher taking attendance and discussing key points these past few days, they probably wouldn't have come to class. Linda mouthed silently. Just you wait. I was too lazy to pay attention. After class, I quickly ran back to my rented room. Not long after, Linda arrived alone, which was a bit strange, but I had no intention of opening the door. She angrily shouted, Yana, I know you're inside. Open the door. You must have come back to life too, right? Do you know how much you've harmed me? God, why did you make me come back to life? At the moment I received the test results, I want to change, but I can't accept it. I didn't respond, pulling out a chair to sit by the door, eating sunflower seeds and fruit. Linda was sick but refused to get proper treatment. Every day she only thought of ways to drag her classmates down. She was truly despicable. The person outside the door, seeing that I wasn't responding, became even more agitated. Yana, aren't we good friends? Wouldn't it be better if you all stayed by my side? I've given you so many benefits. Why am I the only one who got sick? Linda did wrong but didn't think about the consequences of getting sick. If you play by the river, how can you not get your shoes wet? She got what she deserved anyway. I didn't pity her. I continued to nibble on sunflower seeds and listen to her angry screams. Yana, disaster shouldn't involve family. How do you send that gift box to my parents? I swear, I'll make you pay. Sure enough, there was something unusual in that gift box, and her parents might have encountered trouble. Was this my fault? Linda was the one who started everything. You're all bad people. I will take revenge. I will make you all sick. Very good. I recorded this sentence on the first day I moved here. I installed a camera at the door. Every action of Linda was recorded. The police might not believe in reincarnation, but they would definitely take diseases seriously. I picked up the phone and called the police, warning them that she had an infectious disease, so they could prepare with an infectious disease and still deliberately spreading it to others. She could wait to go to jail. The police would teach her how to be a person. After reporting to the police, Linda also finished cursing. It seemed she planned to leave. How could I let that happen while putting on protective clothing? I said, Linda, what disease do you have? Do you know what you're doing? Hearing my voice, the person outside became even more agitated. Yana, I know you're inside. Stop pretending. Ever since you didn't go to the hospital with me, I knew you had come back to life too. In the previous life, you harmed me. If you hadn't told Lily and Wendy, no one would have known, and I wouldn't have been forced to jump off the building. So you have to die with me. So she thought that way. What about this life? Clearly, I didn't do anything, yet she still wanted to drag me down with her. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're sick, go get treatment. If you want to infect others, you're committing a crime. Linda frantically banged on the door. I looked through the peephole and saw her hands were bleeding. Suddenly I felt my door had been dirt. Jana, come out now. Hiding inside is useless. If you come out, you'll die. I calmly said, Linda, be a decent person. Do you have to drag everyone down with you to be happy? Social terrorists like you deserve everyone's contempt. Linda screamed hysterically. I can't accept it. Why is it me? You've received so many benefits from me. Why won't you stay by my side? She banged on the door harder, seemingly forgetting the pain. Just as I was worried the door might break, 2 police officers arrived. Linda tried to run but was stopped. I was worried the police might get her blood on them, so I put on protective clothing and opened the door as soon as she saw me. Linda wanted to rush at me. Yana, how dare you call the police? You eaten my food, used my things, and yet you dare to call the police? I really couldn't understand. 99% of her things were used by the other 2 roommates. She was rarely in the dormitory, and always thought I used a lot too. This matter couldn't be explained because there was no evidence and the other 2 wouldn't admit it. Linda was handcuffed. She looked at me with angry eyes. Yana, I miscalculated this time. If I had known, I would have brought a group of people here. I knew she wanted to test if I had come back to life, but her anger made her forget her purpose. I showed the surveillance video to the police and seriously said, I think she has intentions of social revenge. I suggest taking her to the hospital for a checkup. If she really has an infectious disease, it needs to be dealt with seriously. Linda was so angry she almost went crazy. If the police hadn't stopped her, she would have definitely rushed at me. Yana, why are so evil? Do you have to force me to die to be happy? Who is the real bad person here? I was just fighting fire with fire. The 2 police officers, after watching the video, looked increasingly grim. They took Linda to the hospital, and I followed, still in protective clothing. Linda refused to cooperate the whole way, cursing at me, but she was still forced to have her blood drawn for testing. When the police held the results in their hands, their faces were full of anger. We went to the police station together. I didn't know why, but Linda suddenly had a revelation. She confessed everything, accusing a bunch of people, including the 2 roommates. The police officer taking notes suppressed his anger. If it weren't for the surveillance camera, he might not have been able to restrain himself from taking action. Linda coldly looked at me. Why is Jana still safe and sound? Clearly I had planned everything. I can't accept it. If it weren't for fearing dirty Ines, I would have slapped her long ago. Linda was detained in a temporary detention center at the Epidemic Control Center. Dozens of cars came to the school based on the list Linda provided. They arrested people. Lily and Wendy were among them. 1/3 of the male students in our department were taken away. They looked bewildered. The police only asked them to cooperate with the investigation and didn't inform everyone of the specific reasons. Dozens of cars had to make 2 trips to take all the people. Over 90% were male students, all of whom had relationships with Linda. It had to be said that Linda had some talent. This incident caught the attention of the school's leadership. After understanding the cause of the incident, the school organized a comprehensive health checkup. The results revealed another group of people with issues. The school's leadership almost cried. If it weren't for the upcoming summer vacation, they would have immediately arranged lessons on physiology and health. Linda was detained. The others, after being educated by the police and completing the registration process, were released that day. Lily and Wendy came to me. Both looked very listless, their eyes devoid of any light, as if they were already dead. You knew Linda was sick, didn't you? Why didn't you tell us? In my previous life I had told them, but how had they treated me? Being foolish once was enough. I indifferently looked at Lily. At that time you were the one who went to the hospital with Linda. If you had paid a little attention, you would have noticed she had issues. I turned to look at Wendy. And you've lived in the same dormitory with Linda for over 3 years. Has she ever introduced a boyfriend to you? You're so foolish not to suspect anything. If you want to blame someone, blame your own greed. What does this have to do with me? Lily's eyes were red. Couldn't you have reminded us a bit? If you had said something was wrong from the beginning, we definitely wouldn't have gone. How ridiculous could it be that they didn't know what the villa party was for? Why would someone be willing to pay $100,000 as a hardship fee? They were all adults. Why pretend not to understand? Wendy cried uncontrollably. I regret it. I really regret it. My life is ruined. What should I do? I don't know how to tell my family. Lily also had red eyes. I'm only 21. If my family finds out, I'll be beaten to death. Can you help us? In my previous life, I had also begged them, asking them not to spread rumors, not to let fans attack me online. But they said they had been annoyed with me for a long time, saying I always acted high and mighty. Before I died, I could help them become famous, which would be a meaningful death. They also said it was because I meddled too much, always telling them things. Otherwise Linda wouldn't have been forced to jump off the building this time. I didn't meddle. But they came running to beg me. They got what they deserved. The corner of my mouth curled up slightly. If you're sick, go get treatment quickly. I'm not a doctor. I can't help you. Lily wanted to pull my hand, but I stepped back twice. She embarrassedly rubbed her hands. Yana, we heard we could go to the US for treatment. But it's a bit expensive. Your family has money. Can you help us a bit and organize a fundraiser at school? Did they really think I was a fool? Could this disease be cured? Or were they being scammed? But what did this have to do with me? I shook my head and refused. You've got the wrong person. It's all Linda's fault. You should find her. Over the years she's made a lot of money. It's definitely enough for you two to go to the US for treatment." Wendy's face turned angry. She probably can't get out anymore. How do you expect us to get the money? The police have recorded our information. Even renting a room outside could get us arrested. Renting a room. They still wanted to go out and do bad things to earn money. Someone was already sick and only thought about spreading it to take revenge on society. I coldly said, "As long as you actively treat it, you won't die. But if you want to do bad things, then Linda is a costly lesson for you. Don't think everyone is a fool. Such a big incident in our school. No one doesn't know. They just don't dare to say it anyway. Congratulations on becoming famous." The faces of the two darkened. Wendy quickly shook her head, repeatedly promising not to do it again. As long as I gave her $100,000. I almost couldn't help but spit on her. She was really shameless. Linda couldn't get the money, but her parents definitely had money, right? You know the address. Just go and see the situation. The two's eyes lit up. Linda had asked them to send things many times. They knew the address by heart. Perhaps they could even decide it backward. Over the years, Linda had made a lot of money. The big villa, her father's BMW, her mother's gold bracelet, all were bought by her. In my previous life, after Linda jumped off the building relying on that suicide note, her parents continuously demanded money from me. When I didn't give it, they went to my parents' workplace and caused a scene, causing my parents to lose their jobs. They also spread rumors everywhere that my parents didn't know how to raise children. In the end, my parents couldn't stand the criticism and had to move back to the countryside to live. A smile finally appeared on Lily's face. "Thank you for reminding us. We'll go right after the exam." Wendy clenched her fists. It's all their fault for not raising Linda properly. They should compensate us. If they don't give the money, I'll let everyone know what Linda has done. I nodded in satisfaction and even gave them a few small ideas this time. Let's see how they can deny it. After the exam, I immediately packed up and went home. In my previous life, I owed my parents. Now I had to make it up to them. I took my parents on a trip, went fishing with my dad, and helped my mom take photos. Life was extremely comfortable. Lily and Wendy led a group of people to Linda's hometown. This group was all victims who hated Linda to the core. They started a live stream, demanding an explanation, only daring to say that Linda was promiscuous and had an infectious disease. Our school became famous again. Last time only a few people knew, and the news was quickly suppressed by the school. This time they live streamed everything online. Currently over 100,000 people were watching. The audience came from all over the country. It was impossible to hide. Linda's parents were bewildered when they heard they came to demand money and started cursing, using very foul language. Dozens of people couldn't curse back. No one expected their fighting power to be so strong. When they couldn't win the cursing battle, they stopped. Lily had a few people block Linda's parents, and then everyone squeezed into the big villa. "If you don't compensate us, we'll stay in your house. You should know that we've all been infected by Linda. If we accidentally infect you, then it's just what you deserve." Linda's parents stepped back, their faces full of anger. "Get out. If you don't, I'll call the police. All the good things Linda has done, you can go find her. I'll pretend I never gave birth to this daughter." Lily and the group couldn't leave so easily. They started complaining in the live stream, recounting the bad things Linda had done, occasionally showing the audience videos or chat logs. They liked gossip. Is human nature. The number of viewers in the live stream room skyrocketed, and gifts kept pouring in. Lily and Wendy glanced at each other, the smiles on their faces impossible to hide. Linda's parents called the police, but Lily and the group didn't care. They continued to recount what Linda had done in the live stream. Having lived together for over 3 years, the number of messages wasn't small. Moreover, there were many male classmates as witnesses. Their chat logs were even bolder, even including some sensitive short videos. Linda's reputation was completely ruined. Even her parents were disgraced. The police arrived, and seeing they weren't fighting, could only ask both sides to reconcile. Lily and her group as victims cried pitifully. The Nisons couldn't stand it and continued to send gifts. They cried even more pitifully. Linda's mother sat on the ground, causing a scene. "Don't think we're afraid of you. Infectious diseases can be treated. Well, you won't die. Why are you pretending to be innocent? If you didn't want to take advantage of my daughter, would you have been infected?" What she said was also true. That group of people had all taken advantage of Linda, whether for money or physical pleasure. With Lily and her group Admitted, of course, not anyway. It was now summer vacation. They had enough time to prolong the incident, they had content for live streaming, and couldn't miss out on the nice and gifts. The police couldn't intervene, and suggested they go to court to sue, because there were more important matters to handle. They stayed for about half an hour, and then left. Both sides became even more aggressive. Wendy and Lily looked at each other, then turned off the live stream. A few days later, Wendy video called at me. Yana, the package you sent to Linda's parents didn't have any effect. They didn't contract any diseases. But we've avenged you. We dripped blood on their wounds. Shouldn't you reward us? Can you give us $100,000? Linda's parents didn't know about HIV. They thought only sexual intercourse could transmit the disease. They planned to use the wounds as an excuse to go to the hospital. But we didn't let them. In the end, they gave up. We guarded them for 3 days before leaving. No wonder they turned off the live stream. I felt a bit smug, but I definitely wouldn't give them money. Calling it avenging me. I'm still fine now, Linda. And I have no grievances. She ruined your lives. The grievances are yours. You did this to vent your anger, right? What does it have to do with me? People shouldn't do bad things. Retribution might be slow, but it will definitely come. Wendy was stunned for a moment. Yana, we're only short of $100,000. Can you help us? I coldly replied, that day you received a lot of gifts from the live stream. If you're short on money, just continue acting pitiful to earn money. At that time, the number of viewers in the live stream room had exceeded 1 million. Now all websites were discussing this incident. The school issued a notice. That very night, Linda was expelled immediately. The others were given warnings and had their graduation postponed. If any more issues arose, they would be expelled immediately. Wendy forced a smile. Our account was reported. We can't live stream anymore. The school said it had a bad influence and banned live streaming. As for the gifts, after splitting them among so many classmates, it wasn't much. It sounded a bit pitiful. But what did it have to do with me? I still refused them. You'd better not bother me anymore. I've just recorded everything. Guess what will happen if I send it to the police? You wouldn't dare. We have 32 people. You wouldn't dare offend us. Wendy hung up, but didn't contact me again. She didn't dare to gamble. Linda was chopped by someone last time when she angrily banged on my door. Her hand was injured. Now she was in the incubation period, and the wound on her hand hadn't fully healed. So they took her to the hospital for a checkup. She had offended too many people with just a slight carelessness. She was chopped, even if only a few times, but the wounds were quite large. And because Linda was no longer in the incubation period, the wounds were very difficult to heal because of this. Lillian, her group were happy for a while in their final year. Lillian, her group were very well behaved. The schools still issued them graduation certificates, but no unit would hire them. Not even flyer distribution jobs could be found. They had live streamed for everyone to see. As long as anyone paid a little attention to online news, they would know they were sick. Who would dare hire them? Even if they wanted to earn money quickly, they couldn't. No one wanted to get close to them. If they couldn't stay in the country, they had to go abroad. Later it was said they died miserably if the country didn't accept them. How could they live peacefully abroad? 5 years later, Linda died from the whole body ulceration. Her parents didn't dare to go out, and no one contacted them. It was said they accidentally fell once and never got up again.